How's it going, my Saab friends? My name is Gary and this is my channel Weakest of Weeks. If you're a first-time viewer, I appreciate you clicking on the video and definitely consider subscribing, especially if you're into Saab related adventures. Today is another fun-filled one. It is, I want to say, the 5th video on going to my local pick and pull junkyard and pulling some Saab parts. Yes, you heard that right. I'm extremely fortunate that I have a junkyard local to me that every so often gets a Saab in the yard and I can go there and pull the parts myself. If you're not familiar with what a pick and pull is, it's simply a junkyard that you go there yourself with your own tools in time and pull the parts yourself, and you save a lot of money doing that. Fortunately, I do have one local to me that ever so often gets a Saab, and that is exactly what is going on today. I just got an alert that they have a 2010 Saab 9.3 in the yard. I did do a quick VIN search. There's nothing too spectacular about this car. It's just kind of a run-of-the-mill 2010 Saab 9.3 4-cylinder 2.0 turbo with an automatic transmission. However, since it is the new gen, which is a 2008 and up 9.3, it should have the ice blocks. I'm hoping they're still there, but I'm not banking on it. From the one photo they had on the listing, it definitely was involved in a front-end collision, so nothing up front is probably worthwhile. Sometimes I like to pull the grills, fog lights if they're available, also the front headlights. This one from the VIN search, it just has the halogen headlights. It does have the lashing eye, which is kind of cool, but being a front-end collision, I imagine those are gone. The grill looks gone. It was not optioned with the fog lights, and I think outside of that, the only other thing I'm really interested is the rear view auto dim mirror, because it looks like it is optioned with that. So I'll quit rambling. Let's go ahead, cut the footage to when I got to the yard and the parts that we're about to pull. Whoa. Dang. All right, just got here. Car's right there in the background. Let me flip this around and show you. This is the first time I'm seeing this thing. Right off the bat, I can tell the computer is gone. Actually has one good halogen light. It's actually pretty nice. Obviously the front fascia is gone. This lower thing is hanging. Took quite a big hit. Upper front end here, knocking out that core support, blasting out this driver's side headlight. Coolant tank's been cut off. Turbo is still there. Wow, look at the hood. That's wild. Crazy. All right, $1 million question. No! Ah, dang it. Man. Well, the inner ice blocks are still there. That's a big bummer. Well, so far this is definitely one of the cleanest Saabs I've been in the junkyard. It's actually a very nice back seat. Door panels look really nice. Oh man. See, this is just insane. Like, there is absolutely no need to do this. Like, there is just a couple bolts to remove, get these side panels off to get access to this ignition. But unfortunately, if I'm not here quick enough, somebody comes and destroys this. No mercy. So that's very unfortunate. I mean, they even like break this guy. I mean, like, nobody's ever going to be able to reuse that. And then there was a key on here. So even though they left the CIM, more than likely they took the key, and I'll walk around, see if I can find it, and a little detective work. There's probably the boot print of the person who mutilated this thing, but I'll poke around, see if I can find the key. Otherwise, that CIM is worthless. The cup holder, the buttons broke out of it. Hey. Goo Goo, interesting. Rapid pass. Wonder if I can actually take this and put that on my car, find out where this Goo Goo is, and get some free car washes. But I think a small win here. Auto dim rear view mirror still here. That's awesome. Not sure what all this powder is. I assume that's from the airbag going off. See if anything is in the glove box. Nope. These are still good. These oftentimes break. I don't need them, but somebody else may. Let's see. No floor mats. This guy's pulled off. Even the tabs are broke on that. I mean, this car actually looks like it was recently detailed. Minus obviously the dirt in here, but I presume that's from the junkyard. But I mean, overall condition, like minus the filth on the driver's seat, look how nice this is. Even like all the door panels. That's pretty wild. Oh look, it even has the shifters. Nice. I may take those. I think once upon a time somebody actually cared for this car. Oh, got some change, nice. Little cable tie thing. Well, unfortunately, I don't think there's going to be a lot to take out of this car. But I'll poke around. We'll see what I can find. Usually there's always good stuff in these little cubbies. But again, this car looks like it's very picked over. Nothing. I mean, look how clean this car is. That is crazy. These things almost always have moisture in them. First thing on the list is this rear view auto dim mirror. Try to gracefully take this guy out. That exposes the 3 torque screws that we need to get to remove this thing. I have what I believe to be a T27, and I'll go ahead and undo these 3 bolts. There you go. Now with that mirror out, I wanted to focus on these little paddle shifters, but I'm quickly realizing this is going to be quite the feat to get them off, mainly because the steering wheel is locked. The ISM is out. Normally you could connect power to it, toss the key in, and it would unlock the column here. But that's not going to be doable with that ISM gone. I can try to hook power to it to see if that, for whatever reason, works, but I'm not banking on that. And also what is interesting, I thought this airbag blew along with the dash airbag, but looking closer, somebody definitely had like a multi-rotary tool kind of deal in here to try to cut this airbag out. And I wondered if they were going for these or even the CIM behind here. But the proper way to do this would be to get power to it, flip this steering wheel upside down, and then in behind here there's actually 2 slots you can get a screwdriver in, and then it pops the airbag out and then gives you access to the bolts for here. Also gives you access to the center steering wheel bolt, so you can pull the steering wheel off to get to the CIM. But unfortunately, with the steering wheel locked like it is, I don't think I'm going to be able to get this airbag out like it's supposed to come out. I may be able to like pull on this. I mean, this is already pretty well trashed anyways, but I don't know. I may try to poke around here a little bit, see if I can just get to the bolts here. There's, I think, 1 or 2 very small torque screws. But even if I am able to get in here, there's some wires that connect the one side to the other. And without getting this airbag out, I don't know that I'll be able to get those wires out, but I'll poke around here for a little bit, see if I can do anything to get these out. Okay, now I'm gonna try to shove something in here to temporarily keep that from popping back into place. Can't believe that worked. That's how you properly remove the airbag. So this, definitely not necessary. So now that we got the airbag out, obviously steering wheel is off to the side, but that gives us access to the two very tiny torque screws. So one for this one for this other one. And then if you notice, the wires travel all the way along here and connect each of these together. And then there'll be a plug in behind here we'll be able to undo. And I don't think there's one under here. I think just on the one side, and then they're connected together. And actually I just realized whoever was messing with that airbag destroyed these freaking switches. They ended up cutting right through this into the metal here, and in doing so cut these freaking wires. Come on, man. So I mean, I guess I could solder this together. I don't know that it'd be worthwhile because none of my cars are automatic, so I wouldn't use this. So it'd be kind of a resell deal. I don't know what this person was doing because they didn't take the airbag. They didn't take anything associated to this. I can only assume they were trying to get the airbag off to get the CIM because they destroyed everything just to get the ISM out. But man, that's totally unnecessary. So whoever's watching this, like, please don't be that guy to do this. Like, this is just totally excessive. So I guess this is going to be a loss. That's a bummer. Cup holder I don't think I'm gonna take because the button's gone and it doesn't really work too well. Next up on the list of salvageable parts on this car is definitely going to be the inner ice block taillights. Anytime you find these taillights, they're definitely worthwhile to take. So along with that, I'm actually going to take all of these plastic push pin retainers. They're very Saab specific, and they're good for the 9.3s and 9.5s, and I mean, they used them on a bunch of different years, so definitely worthwhile to take along with these inner ice block taillights. And they're pretty simple to remove, so actually all you do is just push in the center section, and then it ends up releasing it, and it all comes out as one piece, the center along with this outside. And you can see this, very specific to the Saabs. Alright, that was a T27 to remove that grab handle. Now we're on to the actual ice blocks, and that'll be two 10mm bolts. There you go. One inner ice block taillight removed. A little dirty, but otherwise seems to be in good shape. Bulbs are still in there. I think that is a win. One thing that's cool looking back here is most of the spare tire stuff is gone, but the original screwdriver and then the Torx bit adapter for that spare tire set is still in here. So I'm normally not one to stick my hand in murky water, but I think these things are kind of cool. I'm pretty sure my blue project car doesn't have this in the spare tire kit, so definitely gonna be taking this with me. Since we're in the trunk, there's one other thing I wanted to talk about, and that is a module that normally resides in here. It's called a VCIM, or a Vehicle Communication Interface Module, I believe is what it stands for. And on a 2009, I believe the Bluetooth was standard. 2010, it was an option. This car's a 2010, and it was not optioned with that Bluetooth module. Otherwise, it's definitely something to consider to pull, because then you can simply plug that into your 9.3, get Bluetooth, and then you can actually use this button, which is useless on most 9.3s. So going back to this headlight, I was going back and forth whether I wanted it or not, just because it was the halogen, but I figured it looked in such nice condition. I look up the pricing, and at this particular pick and pull, it's about $21.99 to pull this headlight. Well, under closer inspection, this top tab is sheared off, so even though the lens looks nice and good, I'm not going to be taking it. And look at this though. A lot of this stuff was just hacked right out of this car. It's a darn shame. This being a 4-cylinder, I don't think I have much use for anything in here. With this still on here, I imagine the coil packs are still in here, but I'll let somebody else get those. I definitely don't need those. Interesting, bolts are missing from this throttle body. Just a bunch of mangled and broken plastic from the front impact this car sustained. What's left of the grill, fascia is long gone, but part of the grill is still smashed and stuck up in here. Projector lens to the headlight that once lived there. And something I found interesting was I was considering pulling an ABS module just as a spare. Now, these are very specific, dependent on the engine type, the transmission, front wheel drive or cross wheel drive. But what I found to be interesting is this is a TRW brand. So I'm not sure if this is remanufactured or the original equipment. And also too, on the brake booster is also labeled TRW. So maybe somebody in the comment section will let me know whether these are original or aftermarket rebuilt replacements. I'm gonna do one final walk around the car. Make sure I didn't leave any tools or I didn't want to take anything else, but I will say this is definitely one of the nicest Saab 9.3s that I found in the junkyard, just as far as it being maintained. I mean, obviously there's a pile of broken plastics from the idiot that did that nonsense, but I mean, the interior is just in very nice condition. So I'm really hoping somebody comes back and takes this stuff. Looking at the oil change sticker back in August, 126,000 miles. So this car, definitely not a clapped out high mileage example of a Saab 9.3. I mean, everything before this car made it to the junkyard, I mean, the carpets looked freshly vacuumed and everything. So unfortunately, it seems like somebody definitely took care of their Saab 9.3, but got into an accident and it ended up here. Again, door panels are in very nice condition. It's the optioned walnut. All these door switches, I don't know if they work or not because I haven't attached power to the car, but they appear to be in good working order. Back seat, which is typically in better shape because it's less used. I mean, this is in very nice condition. This is just one of the anchor guys for up there. Headliner's in nice shape. I mean, overall the car is pretty straight. Some light scuffs and scratches, but that's pretty typical from whenever they transport them in here. Trunk, there wasn't a lot of mystery in here. Normally the trunk houses a bunch of fun stuff. That is not the case. Very bummed about the outer ice blocks. Again, another nice door panel. This side is just as clean. This door is a little crunchy crunch because of the accident and everything being pushed back. Door switches is really the only thing that shows wear on this car from the interior perspective. But I mean, This driver's seat is in immaculate condition. I mean, yes, it does have some wear and tear here, but it's not ripped or torn, which is impressive. It does have the auto headlight feature. Somebody will probably like that switch. It doesn't have the fog lights. I think that's for the rear fog lights, and that would be for the front. But it being an auto switch, somebody might find that useful. This I'm actually kind of upset about. I mean, this is totally unnecessary. Auto dim rear view mirror, that was probably the biggest win of the day. But I think that is gonna be a wrap. Wait a minute. This looks familiar. Round badge. Has a side looking like a Trailblazer. I think this is a 97X. Haha! I knew it. Man, this thing is rough. 0897X. Take a look on the inside. Whoa. A couple things missing here. Oh man, it smells funky in here. Oh, that's cool. Little rear DVD guy. Super early 2000s. Open sunroof, so this thing has probably seen some water while sitting here. It's interesting. Wonder what they were after to cut that speaker grill out like that. Hey! Screwdriver. Nice. Free screwdriver. Cool little Torx screws. Old Volvo. Alright, I was kind of just poking around random vehicles. This is a Jeep, but I had to show this. Look at this cup holder. What on earth? Gross. So we are back home, and this is the haul that we took from the junkyard today. Obviously, the inner ice block taillights with the bulbs and these little electrical housings. I'm not sure what you call those. The circuit boards, I think, maybe. I don't know, but I got both of the inners. Unfortunately, the outers were already spoken for. They were gone. The auto dim rear view mirror with the compass and the home link being for the garage door. I got the connector just to have. The hardware is already on that. And then what is pretty interesting is the fact that it comes with this air freshener that's also an unlimited car wash pass. Might have to try that to see if it works. Not sure, I've never heard of this car wash, but I imagine it's probably local to me. I ended up getting some tools. This is pretty neat. I got this specifically because it's missing on my blue Project Aero car. This is part of the spare tire kit, and you actually just take one of these inserts and stick it in the end here, and then you have a screwdriver. So there's multiple different size Torx ends, and one of them has a flathead. So that's pretty cool. That won't be resold. That, like I said, will go in the blue car. I mean, it's always great to have an extra screwdriver, so to find this screwdriver in that 97X, well, that's kind of a bonus. That's pretty cool. I didn't need any parts from it, but just because I looked at it, I ended up with a free screwdriver because somebody left it inside, and there's nobody around to ask if they lost it or not, so I just decided to take it with me. So I'll toss this in my tool bin. The plastic push pins, these are always great to have. They're easy to lose. I've actually used a bunch of these throughout the years. I used a ton of them on my blue car because it was missing a bunch of them. And then some of my local friends, I've actually given them some push pins throughout the years. If you're wondering as far as pricing, inner ice block taillights, $13.99 a piece for everything. The bulbs, $20.99 for the auto dim rear view mirror. Push pins, they threw that in. And then environmental fees and tax and everything. So grand total, $56.20 US. So the rear view mirror, I've sold a bunch of these. Realistically, probably worth around $40 US. I'm actually going to be keeping this one because in my red car that has the auto dim mirror, the compass is kind of spotty. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. So I'm hoping by swapping out to this unit, everything will be perfect and working. These inner ice block taillights, I'll probably keep them as spares. I may resell them. If anybody's interested, comment, and I may be willing to sell those. This other stuff I'm just gonna end up keeping. And what's funny about the hardware, I've been compiling my OEM hardware throughout the years, and this is what I have at this point in time. Granted, I have used a bunch of this, but this is a very large peanut butter container, and look how filled it is with hardware. So whenever you go to the junkyard, I highly suggest getting the hardware with whatever part you're picking. See, for instance, on this taillights, I ended up putting on the 10mm nuts for it just to have. Obviously, if I put them in my vehicle, I'm already going to have the 10mm nuts, so I'll just toss it in here whenever I'm done. But it's always great to have a lot of excess hardware in case you lose any bolts, or heck, even if you have other projects. I just like having this in the garage in case I need it for the future. And same can be said about the push pins. I actually have another bin that I keep all of my excess push pins. So like I said, whenever you get a chance, with whatever part you're picking, try to grab some hardware as well. So if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Definitely consider subscribing. If you have not already watched my previous Junkyard Saab adventures, I'll put some links in the description so you can check that out. With that being said, I appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you friends next time.